What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today we're going to be learning some new information about Pokemon Legends ZA, doing a deep dive on the trailer and a full analysis. Continuing in the tradition of how they used to do it, there's a whole bunch of information on the website that explains what we saw in the Pokemon Legends ZA trailer, and it's important that we go over that information to be informed when looking at the trailer. The story is set in Luminois City, where an urban redevelopment plan is underway to shape the city into a place that belongs to both people and Pokemon. Compared to the city in X and Y released in 2013, more greenery now adorns the city alongside facilities with a cutting-edge feel. In the city, space is frequented by Pokemon such as shopping arcades, cafes and restaurants coexist with more natural areas such as waterfronts and verdant parks. At the center of the city stands Prism Tower, the very symbol of the city. And then we get a map, bro, I love maps. Tower looking dope over there. We see a nice corner-side Pokemon Center, just chilling outside of the window. We got these Spritzies. I think that's their name. 3 different Floette colors. We have an Aegislash just hanging out. That's not creepy at all. A whole bunch of text here at the bottom that from the whole urban redevelopment thing trailer that was then translated. I'm sure someone on Reddit is going to cryptograph this and figure out exactly what all of this says. But I have a feeling it's just going to be here's what a map says. The star cut, I believe that's the star cut for Furrow, chilling, looking at some fish. Up here, we have a nice little shopping plaza, and then in the middle is the map. The map, unfortunately, does not help us at all. There's just some Pokemon on top of some areas, and a lot of fletchling. There's a variety of circles that have like different Pokemon represented there that we don't know if these are just some examples of the wild areas. Strangely enough, the number 1 over here, so this makes me think that this is wild area number 1. We also see what looks like a Pokemon battle tar mat. Do we see numbers anywhere else? Are there numbers hidden? Am I about to Where's Waldo the heck out of this? No, it's just the number 1, or I'm reading too much into it. I'm not seeing any other numbers. This one looks like a C. This one also looks like a C. There are C buildings, that's confirmed. The story begins with sightseeing trip to Luminois City. While visiting the city during your travels, you'll come to stay in an old hotel named Hotel Z. This hotel will serve as your base as you and your new friends you'll meet in Luminois tackle all sorts of incidents that occur in the city. Bro, I'm so excited for like the side missions and stuff like that to see how they expanded on that system. Wild Zones, habitats for wild Pokemon, is part of the urban redevelopment plan driven by a large corporation called, I'm gonna do this my best with trying to sound Frenchy, Quartesico. Nope, that was Italian. That's Cortesico. Incorporated, the city has been outfitted with, quote, wild zones in an effort to help humans and Pokemon share the city. These areas are constructed using cutting-edge technology to give Pokemon places to live. Within wild zones, you could battle Pokemon and catch them by throwing Pokeballs. A Pokemon series first. Pokemon and trainers take action in real time during battle. In addition to type matchups, there is a new gameplay mechanic to consider, such as the precise timing for swapping out your Pokemon or using moves, the different lengths of time moves will take to launch, and how big an area the moves will impact. This unprecedented style of Pokemon battling is one of the most thrilling parts of this title. PLA did not have a very intricate battle system, hence why you didn't really have to battle. I am noticing up here that we do have the You Are Seen icon that we had in PLA. So I'm wondering / hoping if you could still be stealthy about it. I really enjoyed playing PLA that way. After arriving in Luminois for some sightseeing, you'll make new friends and tackle all sorts of incidents in the city. I just realized that I guess we're gonna call them your rival, looks identical except for the hair, clothes, and body shape. But that face is exactly the same. That's kind of funny. AZ is a man who stands over 9 feet tall. He's the owner of the hotel and claims to be 3,000 years old. He quietly harbors a strong determination and will. He also has a knee brace because I imagine it being 9 feet tall, it's not gonna go well. Also, he kind of needs to learn how to stitch clothes together better. You think for being 3,000, he would learn how to make some damn pants. Eternal Flower Floette. This unusual Floette looks different from other members of her species. Oh, okay, so this Floette is a female and holds a black flower. She's also said to have lived for 3,000 years. She always accompanies AZ. Fun fact, you were able to hack in an Eternal Flower Floette in Pokemon X and Y and then transfer it into Pokemon Bank. It showed up in Bank too. It was Floette, I think -5, because the first 5 colors occupy no hyphen and -1 through 4. And then -5 was Eternal Flower Floette. And then at some point it just broke, and then it just became like a bad egg. Jet is the CEO of the large corporation driving Luminoise's urban redevelopment plan with the aim of shaping the city into one that belongs to both people and Pokemon. It seems she hopes to deepen the bonds between Pokemon and people. Yeah, she's definitely not evil. She's definitely not evil. Vinny is a large man who wears sunglasses. Wow. Does he also drive a Dodge Ram? He's the secretary, not the head of security. He's the secretary. Okay. The legendary Pokemon Zygarde is made up of a multitude of cell-like components, and it changes form depending on how many of these components have gathered together. Its brain is made up of few existing Zygarde cores, while the rest of its body comprised of Zygarde cells, which are far more plentiful. It seems to have taken special interest in you. What could its connection to the story be? And we learn about 10% form, which is the pupper, and 50% form, which is the slithery snake. And the complete form, who's 14 feet tall. The power of Mega Evolution. Mega evolved Pokemon, we're seeing some of them over here. We're actually not learning too much about them, although, bro, this screenshot, the way that it has like this iridescent flow when it megas, pretty hot looking. I also really liked like the over-the-top lighting effects that we saw on like Altaria's fluff and Gardevoir's skirt, and then releasing simultaneously worldwide. It does not state about the Switch or Switch 2, and I have a feeling that's because we have to wait to hear how graphics and upscaling are handled between the two different systems. Or they could just do the biggest turnaround and be like, it's only for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, and now I am getting into watching the trailer. We're seeing some of the wild area banners that pop up. One of the things that I'm a little curious about is, are all the areas just gonna be like city areas and these are just different levels of Pokemon there? Or is there more involved than that? In this area with the Sandiles swimming through the sand, we also see that this is Wild Area 8. And on top of there, we have the pedestals that look like the dragon icons that were more typical of you seeing in early Pokemon gyms. Wondering how many wild areas there are, if there's only 8, and if there's some sort of challenge linked to all 8 of them. Similar to how in Legends Arceus, we had the nobles of the area, we learned absolutely nothing as far as the plot and how these areas are, for lack of a better word, conquered. And then to the surprise of everyone, they revealed the starters, which has 2 of the Generation 2 Pokemon. If you ever played Gen 2, you probably picked Totodile, just because it was, Feraligatr had so many moves that it could use, and it can have Ice Punch, it can wreck the Elite Four, and Meganium has just been the absolute worst starter ever, and has nothing done to it ever since. So I'm hoping that a regional Meganium would actually have some viability and a useful secondary typing, redistribution of its stats, and actually be helpful. Fun fact, later on in the video, we see the move Disarming Voice, which is a fairy type move, which is leading some people to believe that Meganium may be a grass fairy type. Who knows? I'm also going to put money out now that they're not going to reveal the starters until after the game launches. I kind of like this lens flare, and this kind of lets us know that there's going to be a day-night cycle that's going to be present in the city. I wonder if it's going to be like an actual constantly running day-night cycle, or if it's going to be linked to specific times. You know, here's afternoon, and then you could just sleep, and then it's going to be morning, and then it's going to be night. You know what I mean? In this area with this Bunnelby, the Bunnelby takes notice to the character with the large exclamation mark above its head. We also see that we're in Wild Area 1, and there's a person on the right that might be a trainer. Something that I missed in Scarlet and Violet was actually doing the trainer battles. Because they were optional, I just sort of never did them. And then we also see the young boy up here who might be a second trainer. So it looks like trainer battles are going to be here, unlike in PLA. Now in this scene, the exclamation mark quickly goes from hollow, maybe that's also a meter built into it, to being filled in. And when Chikorita does what I'm assuming is leafage at this Bunnelby, it gets knocked out and has these stars rotating above its head. And I'm thinking this is going to be one of two things. One is this Pokemon was caught off guard, and because of that, it has these stars above its head and is not ready to attack immediately. Or alternatively, what if this is you brought down its health all the way and now it's considered knocked out, and before it disappears from the map, you have a chance to catch it? Who knows? Maybe every attack is going to be like a false swipe and you have that opportunity to throw a ball right at the very end. In this clip, we have our first look at what traversal of this area is going to look like. In Scarlet and Violet and PLA, we relied on the Pokemon carrying us everywhere or climbing different buildings. We have this, I'm just going to call this an elevator, and it just sort of teleports you up to the top. So it looks like this is how we're going to be going up and down buildings. I wonder how common these are going to be, or if this is just going to be in the wild areas or not in the wild areas. We also then see the trainer character hop off of a building and then pull out his Rotom phone, which then allows him to float across a large chasm. This is something that the Rotom phone did one time ever in Scarlet and Violet, and just we've never seen this functionality ever since. Then we have a Pyroar showing up, doing a flamethrower at the character. And then Lucario's just sort of chasing behind. So kind of like in PLA, where you don't have to engage with the Pokemon, you can just sort of run away. Or is that Pyroar one of the bosses of an area, and that was a cutscene, which then leads to this cutscene of you using the Mega Band with Lucario. Right after the Mega Lucario scene, we see Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Absol, and Mega Sableye, and then followed by Altaria, Charizard, Ampharos, Gyarados, Charizard X, I should have said Charizard Y, and Gardevoir. And the trailer ends with a 50% Zygarde, who I just noticed has a little white butthole. Looking back at the full explanation trailer, also VLC was being a pain, so I'm just going to be using the YouTube interface. What are these holograms? Is this their high-tech video calls? They didn't say that this is a dual release, so there's not going to be version exclusives. You're going to be able to get both in one game. That's dope. Eevee and its evolutions have been shown quite a bit in this trailer. I'm wondering if that's just because Sylveon was introduced in this original game and region, or if there's something more to it. Also, Weepinbell. That's a weird choice. Which character you meet will depend on the appearance you choose for yourself in the game. Oh, so yeah, if you pick a boy, you're going to be seeing Tawny, and if you pick a girl-looking character, I should say, then you're going to be having your rival as Urbane. On the map for Luminois City, we saw this one large building here at the back. This is the headquarters that we saw. Oh, and then also there's some more characters right there, right next to the male and female Meowstic. And we now know that that large building is going to be the headquarters of Quasartico. So as soon as you entered the area, the Fletchling took notice of you with the question mark. Bunnelby is just oblivious. Oh, no, it also has a question mark starting to form over here. Oh, and then it immediately turned toward the character. At the right of the target, which is this Fletchling, we see these 4 yellow arrows. I'm wondering if this is an indicator to show you how effective your Pokeball is going to be, or how likely it is to catch that Pokemon. I'm going to keep note of that for later on. And then also, if we look at the mini-map here, we could see that this highlighted green area is what we could assume that this designated wild area is, which also coincides with the green wall over here. It doesn't look like these areas are that large. This next scene over here that we saw the Flaffy on top of this building. This building is part of this wild area. We also see a blue icon right above it. So does that mean that we're going to be able to fly and fast travel to these areas quickly and easily? And the minimap also shows us that there is a yellow icon. We assume that that's the elevator to go up. And right at the very top, we have a sun to let us know that it's currently daytime. Now, right here, we're seeing 2 things being put together that I was talking about before. We see that this Flaffy is breaking out of this Pokeball while it only has 2 of the yellow arrows. And then Chikorita does a final attack. And we see that the Pokemon loses all of its health and it just remains standing upright with the stars above its head. So before it despawns or it's going to be knocked out, you're going to be able to catch this Pokemon, because you'll also notice it now has 3 arrows. I'm pretty darn sure this is an indicator on how likely you are to catch this Pokemon. And Yeah, it really looks like once a Pokemon's health is brought all the way down to 0, you have this opportunity to catch it. We're then shown this area that you are going to be battling against your opponent, and you're both level 10. I'm wondering if that's just done for, if this is later in the game. Oh, it is later in the game. They have 2 Pokemon. So yeah, you just have your Pokemon at level 10 because they don't want to show other ones. You have Tackle, Leer, Water Gun, and Bite. Now, we could also assume that Water Gun being a special move is going to be able to shoot further, and Bite is sort of like a melee attack, so it has to be close. It's doing rollout, and it chose the directory that it's going to be going. And you had to, even the eyes track. Okay, PLA team, good on you guys. You initiate Water Gun. Now I'm wondering if Tapig just didn't get out of the way, or if that was some sort of like tracking system. We see that Lucario here has Protect, Dragon Pulse, Aura Sphere, Bullet Punch, and we're about to be hit with Moon Blast, which would be neutral, right? Wow, for the first time ever, Protect is going to be useful in single-player games. Wonder if you're able to take damage. If you notice, the middle of Water Gun has a circle within the circle. I'm going to assume that the circle within the circle means that it's going to be super effective, because in this next scene here, we see Aura Sphere have a triangle, which is not very effective, because Spritzy is a fairy type. Bullet Punch is going to be super effective, circle within a circle. Dragon Pulse is completely resisted, so it has an X. So that's the icon system to show you how effective a move is going to be. Here against this Talonflame, we see Heavy Slam being not very effective. Roar, Amnesia, and Stealth Rock are all status moves. And I mentioned this when I first saw the trailer, but seeing Stealth Rock, as soon as you use it, these rocks appear in front of you. This Flame Wheel is now coming toward Hippowdon. Hippowdon takes no damage from this, and Talonflame gets knocked out because it's quad effective. Does this now just remain in front of you or at this area on the board and you could just maneuver around it? They are using the same Scarlet and Violet models, because this is the model that was imported from Smash Ultimate. I really like the iridescent look that the Pokemon have when they're Mega Evolved. So now we're treated to a battle where Absol is currently Mega'd. We also see that it's holding its Absolite. That's the name of the item that it's holding. And over here at the bottom right, we see that there's an icon whenever the Pokemon is Mega Evolved. So it looks like all of the attacks are now going to either, I don't know, just be more powerful, or if they're going to have an increased range of damage, or what. But also here at the bottom right, something that I did not pay very close attention to on my first watch, is that there's a Mega Meter, and it looks like it's constantly ticking down. So the amount of time that a Pokemon is going to be able to be Mega Evolved is finite. I did not even realize Mega Charizard was in here just because of how quick this scene is. We have the 2 Kangaskhan over here using Bulldoze. It's really hard to not see the letter C+ here. I have no idea what icon it could be other than C+. So I'm just gonna say he's using Bulldoze C+. I also wonder if the Mega Meter recharges after every battle, or if you have to charge it another way. Because you being able to run around, throw out your Mega, and do this crazy powerful attack every single time, that's what made part of X and Y so easy. I wonder if that's worked on being rebalanced. We have a Zygarde cell. I wonder if you're gonna have to find 100 throughout the world. Screenshots and game footage are from a product in development and not final. Products, content, features, etc. subject to changes. As opposed to what we saw with the early footage of Scarlet and Violet and even PLA, I'm happy to see that there's no slowdown, there's no issue with anything. Granted, these environments are much smaller, and because of the large buildings sectioning off the areas, I'm really hoping the development team is using that opportunity to make it so everything in these smaller wild areas, it looks and runs beautifully. Because that would make the most sense. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? According to this last trailer bit here, someone left a comment on one of my previous videos. For the Rodon notification, the Japanese trailer said something along the lines of rank up announcement incoming, which feels like they're hinting at some type of trainer rank thing that is going on in ZA, which would make sense as to how you were in PLA, that your rank increased by the amount of Pokemon that you caught and the different objectives that you did. So that might just be, hinting toward the overall level progression. So your hotel is your base of operations, and inside of the major tower in the middle is where you rank up officially with whoever's in charge of ranking you up. And that was all of the stuff I was able to find in this trailer, and the website and everything else. If I missed something on the website, it's because we already knew that information. And if I missed something in the video, please leave it in the comment down below. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, Austin John out.